wanted these young men dead.
Earlier this week, investigative reporter Michelle McPhee of the Boston ABC affiliate shared new details about a graphic triple homicide in September that remains unsolved. WCVB's report revealed that the 3 victims were dragged to separate rooms in the second-floor apartment at 12 Harding Ave and then had their throats slashed. The motive remains unclear, and authorities have not revealed the times of death. But the bodies were discovered covered in marijuana, and $5,000 in cash was recovered from the apartment. The lone Waltham victim, Brandon Mess, was actually from Cambridge and involved in mixed martial arts. Brandeis grad Rafi Teken also had Waltham connections. The third victim, Eric Weissman, was arrested multiple times for marijuana possession. Middlesex DA Jerry Leone offered few other new details, but has said that authorities are seeking 1 or more assailants and that the brutal murders were not random. No arrests have been made.
Drug abuse, drug distribution, and drug use.
Worried about growing violence, Ward 5 Councillor Gary Marchese organized a neighborhood meeting on October 18th with Leone and Waltham Police Chief Thomas LaCroix.
What has happened with this case?
Leone revealed only that the 3 eyewitnesses to the murders were all killed on September 12th. Disclosing additional information could hamper the ongoing investigation. During the meeting, Leone, the chief, and the lead prosecutor in the homicides underscored the need for neighbors to observe and report any suspicious activity. For Waltham Newswatch, this is Chris Wangler.
Anderson Cooper 360, weeknights at 8 and 10 on CNN.
We've learned that, as you indicated, Boston Marathon suspect Tamerlan Tsarnaev played a direct role in that triple murder back in 2011 outside Boston that you've been reporting so extensively about, along with a Chechen who was killed today during a confrontation with the FBI and Massachusetts State Police while they were questioning him for any possible connection between him and the Boston Marathon bombing. So this man by the name of Ibrahim Todashev apparently told the police, according to a federal law enforcement official, that not only he participated in slashing the throats of 3 men back in 2011 in a drug ripoff, but that so did Tamerlan Tsarnaev. Now, according to our source, apparently they were killed because the 2 men were worried that the victims would later be able to tell the police about what happened to them during this drug ripoff and therefore be able to identify them, Anderson.
So let me get this straight. Tamerlan Tsarnaev, who is portraying himself as a devout Muslim, doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, is involved in a drug ripoff, allegedly involved in a drug ripoff, and then goes about murdering 3 people, slitting their throats with his friend. That's the allegation?
They've been looking at the longest time now for any possible connection in this case, but that does appear to be the case, and they're currently waiting for the results of DNA testing to put Tamerlan as well as this other man at the scene.
Do we know, I guess another critical question is there any connection between this guy or any alleged connection between this guy who got shot today and killed and the Boston bombing?
Well, see, you're right, Anderson. That is initially what our sources tell us led authorities to go talk to this guy in Orlando, Florida. They were looking for any possible connection because they found out that Tamerlan and this guy were friends. And so they went down there looking for any possible connection to that. But subsequently, had also learned that there might be a linkage to this murder as well. And part of that had to do with information gained by my colleague, Deborah Farrick. There were cell phone records that a connection was made between the guy in Orlando and Tamerlan Tsarnaev. So they went looking for that. So far, however, they have found no direct link between the man who was killed and the Boston bombing. But of course, they're still looking, haven't found it yet.
All right. And was he alone with an FBI agent when he was shot, or were there multiple? You said there were state police also in the room?
Yeah, it's still unclear how many people were in the room at the time, but we are told that after he had confessed to being involved in the triple murder, that he attacked, according to our sources, attacked an FBI agent with a knife. And so it was after that. It is unclear how many people were in the room. It's unclear whether that knife has been recovered. Presumably it was. But whenever there is an FBI-involved shooting, the FBI agent then shot, allegedly, this man because I am told that he was felt directly threatened, that his life was threatened. And so now a review panel comes in whenever there is an FBI shootout to look at that shooting and how it took place.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Leanne McAdoo here with an InfoWars News Bulletin. Now, we've been working really hard to try and keep track of all of the inconsistencies with the official story behind the Boston Marathon bombing, and there are so many of them that I'm going to just try to focus on 5 here today, and then you can go to Infowars.com and check out some additional articles that will detail all of the inconsistencies even further. The media announced that the suspects were in custody at the Boston courthouse. The courthouse is suddenly evacuated due to a bomb threat, and the new official word is there are no suspects in custody. FBI releases footage of the suspects without ever showing them actually setting down the backpack. In fact, even Governor Deval Patrick had not seen the video. Although he described the footage showing the suspect placing the bomb near the second blast site as chilling, he then mentioned that he hadn't actually seen the footage himself, but was relayed the info by the FBI. So you're the governor of Massachusetts overseeing this manhunt, and you yourself haven't even seen the footage? The boy's father says that if the FBI kills his second son, then he will know it was a setup. Hours later, the boy is captured alive, but is conveniently unable to speak. The reports say that he suffered from a self-inflicted gunshot wound through the mouth that exited his neck. How does a person who's just shot himself in the mouth climb out and over a boat, surrendering himself to authorities? As Alex Jones reported, the Saudi national suspect, named first as a person of interest, was almost immediately cleared of suspicion after both John Kerry and Obama met with Saudi Foreign Minister Saud just after the Boston Marathon bombing. We were then told Abdul Rahman Ali Al-Arbi is being deported for reasons of national security. The Blaze released more information showing that the FBI was deporting him under Section 212(3)(b, and that he was linked somehow to the Boston bombings, but after the president's meeting with the foreign minister, the file was changed. We now know the Al-Arbi clan has major ties to al-Qaeda, and although the 20-year-old was already on a terrorist watch list, he was still given a student visa. This is all strangely similar to the flights by the bin Laden family, who were also Saudi nationals, right after 9/11. Why did the FBI ask for the public's help in finding these guys? It's already widely reported that the FBI had been alerted to Tamerlan Tsarnaev at least as early as 2011. Homeland Security said they reviewed the man's associations with suspected extremists, his travel and education history, and concluded that there wasn't incriminating information to prove he had extremist leanings. Is this just another case of the FBI allowing a terror attack to take place in order to take advantage of a crisis? Now, we would just like to say thank you to everyone who's been sharing your information, sending it to tips@infowars.com. All of your information has actually helped to keep us on top of all of the breaking news. So thank you, and keep sending the information. I'm Leanne McAdoo, and this has been an InfoWars News Bulletin.
Last year, the city of Boston was shaken when its annual marathon was tragically bombed, leaving 3 people dead and 264 others injured. The alleged mastermind behind the deadly attacks, Tamerlan Tsarnaev, was killed in a shootout with Boston police. His little brother and alleged co-perpetrator, Johar, is now awaiting trial and potentially facing execution. But amidst the insanity ensuing from last year's horror, there was one story largely swept under the rug: the bizarre execution of a 27-year-old Chechen-American man named Ibragin Tadashev. See, Tadashev was interrogated by state and federal officials at his Orlando apartment for 4 hours, about a month after the bombings, about his alleged association with the Tsarnaevs. But before any connection was proven, he was shot and killed. First, the official FBI narrative said that he was in the process of writing a confession to a triple homicide completely unrelated to the Boston bombings, when abruptly he flipped out, pulled out a gun. Then the story changed to a sword. Then they said he threw a chair, then an entire coffee table, which they claimed struck one of the officials in the head. That's when law enforcement claimed Tadashev ran into the kitchen and armed himself with a metal broom handle. Well, the unfolding story quickly fell apart when they were forced to admit that he was completely unarmed. But being trained in martial arts, they ended up claiming that his body was the weapon and that he attacked them with the pole, thereby justifying the use of deadly force. However, mere days before he was killed, Tadashev had serious knee surgery that rendered him unable to walk without crutches. So it remains unclear how he was able to pose a serious threat. In the end, Tadashev was shot 7 times, once in the head. And unfortunately, we know more than little details about his death because the FBI blocked local authorities from releasing the autopsy report. Last year, I spoke with Ibrahim's wife, Reni Tadashev, about what happened and why she thinks her husband was executed.
I do not know. I can't even say why. It was just, I don't know. There was, if you saw the pictures, there was 5 deadly shots. If they were trying to say there was a self-defense, they were trying to stab him, that is so unacceptable to how you stab the person. There is not a single shot in the arm, in the legs, anywhere. It was 3 in heart, 1 in liver, 1 in the head. So that's just a straight death.
Indeed, it was deadly. And despite multiple investigations launched to get answers, an internal FBI review and Florida State Attorney recently cleared the FBI agent who fatally shot Tadashev of any wrongdoing. The Florida prosecutor's ruling stated that the actions of the special agent of the FBI were justified in self-defense and in defense of another. The other state trooper present at the time of the shooting stands in solidarity with the special agent, claiming that he was in fear of his life, that the shooting was indeed justified. What a shock. Well, over the last year, the FBI, Massachusetts, and Florida state officials have kept the identity of those involved secret for fear of repercussions. Yet, thanks to unredacted documents obtained exclusively by the Boston Globe, we can now identify the FBI agent who ended up executing Tadashev as Agent Aaron McFarland. And wouldn't you know, McFarland was an Oakland police officer before becoming a special agent. No wonder he shoots to kill. Turns out this guy has quite the controversial record in his short time on the OPD force. See, McFarland worked with the OPD during the biggest scandal in the department's history. Between 2000 and 2004. According to the Boston Globe, Oakland fired 4 police officers who called themselves the Writers after prosecutors filed criminal charges against them in 2000 on accusations of beating and kidnapping people, making false arrests, planting evidence, and falsifying police reports. Now, McFarland testified in defense of the Writers. When it came to light that he was also fraudulently filing police reports at the request of the main writers, he ended up pleading the Fifth to prevent further incrimination against himself. But it turns out that he was in legal trouble also for committing the same types of acts as the Writers. In 2003, McFarland was sued twice for his egregious behavior as an Oakland police officer. First, for beating both a man outside of a hospital and a witness who saw that beating, and for falsely arresting that witness. Another case was a similar false imprisonment and unlawful beating. Sounds like a really, really great guy, serving and protecting by singling out witnesses and beating the crap out of them. Good job. Well, after serving a long and hard 4 years on the police force, McFarland complained of injuring his leg and ended up retiring with a hefty pension of more than $52,000 annually for the rest of his life. But apparently that injury didn't deter him from joining the FBI as a special agent. And besides the Tadashev killing, we don't even know what he's been up to for the last 10 years. According to Carol Rose, executive director of ACLU of Massachusetts, we still don't know what even happened, nor why the explanations from those who were present at the shooting have been inconsistent, suggesting at various times that Mr. Tadashev allegedly threatened agents, including with a knife, a pipe, a stick or pole, an agent's gun, the deceased's martial arts training, or even a samurai sword. Unfortunately, the investigators on the case weren't even able to interview McFarland about what happened and simply had to make their ruling based on pre-written statements from the agent. This alone should prove the reports inconclusive and the investigation should be reopened. But don't hold your breath. According to the New York Times, through a FOIA request between 1993 and 2011, FBI agents fatally shot about 70 subjects and wounded 80 others. And in every single case, the agent's use of force was determined to be justified. One thing is clear, though. When a federal agency coordinates with so many forces trying to suppress the truth and even the name of a public officer that works for us, usually there's something to hide.